B.F. Skinner was a behavioral psychologist whose main accomplishment was his principles of operant conditioning. These principles of operant conditioning encompass manipulating the environment in order to bring about scientific behavior. Skinner had many applications of operant conditioning. One of those applications was educational assistance via the teaching machine. B.F. Skinner believed that the current approach to education, such as lecturing and textbook readings, needed to become more efficient. He also criticized the use of audio-visual aids in the classroom, such as use of the television and tape recorders. Skinner believed that these methods of teaching and devices only presented material and made the student a passive learner. The student needed to become a more active participant in the learning process, and Skinner solved this problem with his teaching machine. But wait, actually B.F. Skinner was not the first one to have created a teaching machine. Sidney L. Pressey created a similar machine back in the 1920s. However, one notable difference was that while Pressey's machine was intended primarily for testing, Skinner's machine was intended for both instruction and testing, like a tutor. But Pressey's machine would help as a precursor to Skinner's own teaching machine in 1958. Books were one of the ways of presenting material to students. However, with books, students could look at the answers before they had finished answering the question. A teaching machine prevented this by covering answers to questions initially and revealing them only after the student had answered the question. Also, the student gets immediate feedback because they can reveal an answer to a question immediately after they had given their own answer, leading to more correct behavior. In addition to learning the material, the student could skip over material that they knew already or review remedial material, allowing each student to learn at their own pace and overall feel less stressful about learning. Books are converted into teaching material ahead of time in order to work with the programmed instruction the teaching machines perform. This is performed by converting the books into sets of text frames on a disk, card, or tape. The set of text frames make up a sequence of steps that the student can then take to complete learning of the material covered by the book. Each step of the sequence is a reading of text, answering a question about the text, and branching off to more text to read once the student has given a response. There are two methods by which the student can answer the question based upon the teaching machine the student is using. Students below junior high school level are given a machine that will allow the student to proceed to the next step in the sequence after they have moved the correct set of printed figures or letters. If the student's set of printed figures or letters match the correct coded response, then the student is allowed to continue to the next text frame using the lever. More advanced students are provided with a machine that allows them to give a less specific response. The student gives the machine a disk of text frames and locks the machine so that they cannot look at the answers by taking the disk out. The machine has a window for text with a cover that obscures an area of the window. In addition, it also has an exposed area on a roll of paper, a lever, and a transparent cover. The window for text displays a fill-in-the-blank question related to the text that they just read. The student fills out the answer to the blank on the exposed paper. Once the student has written down an answer, the student reveals the correct answer to the question by moving a lever up, which simultaneously moves the student's own written response under a transparent cover. If the student answers the question correctly, then the student moves the lever horizontally to punch a hole in the paper next to the written response. After the lever has been returned to a starting position, the next text frame is shown. After the student has gone over the whole disk of frames, the student then goes over the disk of frames again with the teaching machine only showing the text frames with written responses that were not punched or answered correctly. The machine will continue to show text frames until all frames are associated with a punched response. The teaching machine influenced new ways of active learning, especially computer-assisted learning. Also, recent papers prove that learning by similar methods to those of the learning machine, such as online tutorials, can be at least equally as effective as lectures or textbook reading.